it's an earned right. It's earned. Like, I mean,
it is.
Yeah. It looks like we are going live on the Radja. Let's see. We're live on the social, so it looks like it should be coming up. Okay. So we are live on the Rules of Nerdquisition, the YouTubes, the onlines, and yeah, looks like we are get online. Make sure.
I see us on YouTube on Ghost Claw.
Let's see. What's that? Hang on. Hold up.
There it is. There it is.
All right. Let's see. All right. Cool. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, last thing I need is for the, for my shit to go off, you know? So, let's see. You know what? Let's try. Let's also try to go onto the TikTok.
Okay.
I can't remember if we're banned on this one or not, but we're going to see. God, that's sad.
Well,
I kind of would say it's sad, but at the same time,
it's Thomas's fault. We know Thomas did it. We love you,
I don't
Thomas.
know. We love you, man. But just, let's see. Hang on. You know what? Where's all the... Here it is. I was about to say, damn. My eyes are bad. Oh, shit. Let's see. I think we should be all right.
Recording. I've got us on 2 YouTube channels. You're doing the TikToks. You got the radio going.
So we're about to go on the radio. Want to make sure that we didn't hit past our best. So now we are live on the Radja. We're live on the Radja. We are live on the YouTubes. We're about to go live on the TikToks because it looks like we are good to go on that one.
It's that time again.
Right?
It's that time again.
It's that time.
Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The Rules of Nerdquisition. I'm Gretchen, you're Gilbert. Everybody knows that.
Of course.
Of course they do.
And if you didn't...
Don't. What are you doing?
Exactly. What kind of rock you been hiding under?
But we won't be talking about Pirates of the Caribbean today.
No. We have something a little bit different to talk about. A little bit different.
I did my homework, but before we get into our meat of the show, we're going to do our customary, changing up our format a little bit, as we discussed last week. Going to do a quick recap of the Star Trek episodes in order of their release. And this week we are reviewing Star Trek, the original series, episode 3, the motion picture. I mean, the Changeling.
Season 2, Episode 3, The Changeling.
Right.
Yes.
And that's I've been calling it the motion picture light all week
That's about
as I
right.
watch it. Like, you're going to think we're talking about the motion picture with all kinds of talks of biological units and infestations and all that stuff. And
The whole nines. Yeah.
but no bald women were involved in the making of this podcast episode.
Unfortunately. But hey,
No bald women.
no bald women. But we may have to rectify that one. And have some bald women.
I do not volunteer as tribute. No.
What?
I could not
No.
do
No.
that. No.
No. No, not at all.
No. Sorry.
Well, that's fair.
But
That's fair.
much
That's fair.
to everybody's surprise, this episode starts out completely different than any other Star Trek original series episode, and the Enterprise receives a distress call.
Dun 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 dun. Completely different.
Stop me if you've heard this one before.
But to be fair, it's evil AI, which of course is the basis of like almost every one of them now.
No. I know. Just about every single one of them. But a couple cool points to make about this episode, though. It was production code 37. Original air date was September 29th, 1967. Written by John Meredith Lucas, directed by Mark Daniels. And this episode features Lieutenant Leslie again in one of his 57 original series appearances in Star Trek.
Jeez.
Not including his appearance in DS9 episode Trials and Tribulations, but that was stock footage. When
Jeez.
Cisco and crew went back in time. This guy,
He is everywhere.
he has been everywhere. I mean, going through his service record, he's been an engineer. He's been a transporter chief. He's been a medical assistant. He's been a navigator, science technician, security officer. This guy is the quintessential jack of all trades aboard the Enterprise. You give him a job, he's done all of them.
He's the
It's
backbone.
amazing.
He's what keeps the Enterprise going. Says screw what Scotty doing. He's the one that keeps it going.
And he's got the same look on his face all the time. It kind of reminds me of my mom telling me, like, you look the same now as you did when you were 15. I'm like, are you sure about that? She's like, oh yeah, despite the physical changes, you have the same expression on your face. One of utter discontent with the human race and, just general malaise and irritation.
It's like thanks.
Thanks. Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Good looking out, Mom. I appreciate that. It's very nice.
Said of course, I mean not damaging at all, not like I'm going to need therapy after that, but hey.
I guess fortunately for me, I'm in therapy already. So hey, she's like, hey, you're in therapy, might as well just be honest now.
Say, hey, here's one more thing to tack onto it. It's like, damn.
So yeah, we got another distress call, right? And from the Malurian system.
The Malurians, and then as soon as they get there, they pull up. The Malurians are gone.
They gone. All 4 billion of them gone.
They're just gone. Just. And then all of a sudden, what they see is something that just pops up out of nowhere, like a. For any wrestling fans out there, like an RKO, just out of nowhere. Just.
I don't know. Wow.
And it's this little thing that hails them and says,
it's like a space cigar kind of thing. It kind of looks like a vape almost.
Like a space vape.
Vape.
Or almost like a space hookah.
But a talking.
But a talking space hookah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then we find out that it's Nomad. Yeah.
It's Nomad.
It's a space hookah. Let's just be honest. It's a space hookah. I mean, it started out You saw the pictures of it at first. It was a it looked like like a dildo.
Kind of. It doesn't look like a just.
It doesn't look like a probe. Well, I mean, it looks like I mean, it looked like it was a probe something, but
it looks more like the alien version of a probe in the uncomfortable sense of the word. I mean, I know we're in a family-friendly time slot here, but I just want to say, from experience, that does not look like the kind of dildo that would be very comfortable.
right. Looks like there's some issues.
Hard edges. It's just not very,
Not very
smooth surface. Come on.
It doesn't seem like it'd be very comfortable. But I don't judge dildos like that. You know what I mean? So
Fair.
Fair. That's that's not my jam. So anyways,
I'm gonna stick with space hookah.
but yeah, so it turned from a space dildo to a space hookah because it got into an accident, and then another thing like so essentially this was like a beacon that went out to kind of explore stuff, and then it crashed into another beacon that was out to begin colonizing stuff. And
from this alien race called the Tanru or something like that. And this is where we really start to blur the lines between this and motion picture, because it's a probe that was launched from Earth sometime in the 21st century.
Right.
It ran into a probe in space from another alien race that was like supposed to sterilize soil samples.
Yeah.
Possibly to prepare planets for colonization.
Correct. And so they got merged. Their programming got kind of where one had gaps, the other one filled it in, the other one filled in their gaps, and then it just kind of got kind of corrupted and gave birth to an evil AI.
Yeah, I mean,
well, not really like evil, but what just really very very
what happens
complex.
When alien cultures just fill each other's gaps willy-nilly.
Right? It's just...
You just don't know what the byproduct is going to be of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's like, yeah. So,
I've seen the movie The Fly, the remake with Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis.
Yeah.
No, this interspecies mingling stuff, man.
Remember
that dream sequence she had where she gave birth?
Oh my God. Listen. That flipping movie. All right. That may be one we may have to do for plot a-holes, because
it might be.
Because the part about that movie that really stuck out for me, that really disturbed me, was the part when his teeth started falling out. That's always been like a thing with me. So somebody's teeth are falling out.
Well, if we
oh my God.
Well, yeah, and then that brings us back to the whole conversation that our audience wasn't privy to in our group text about hungry bees and stuff.
Right. And
eating people.
So, and that's a whole discussion in itself right there. So
that's the whole discussion in itself right there. But yeah, we'll talk about
But we're going to talk about that later.
Again, here we go. Space probe launched from Earth, has a mission, meets an alien intelligence, gets upgraded, merged something, and now it's on the lookout for its creator.
So yes. For its creator. And
are you the creator?
And they're pretty much kind of saying that looking for the perfect being. If they're not perfect, then it has to be sterilized.
And that's where Nomad got the mission mixed up, because I think the other probe was just kind of like, hey, if this planet's non-inhabited, but there's some like bacteria in the soil,
then we sterilize it. So
don't want to get sick,
right. So want to be able to grow our crops and not get sick from it. So you see something that's That's just kind of wonky. Go ahead and sterilize it. And then here is the other one that got meteor damage and part of his programming is missing. And then here's another one that got damaged and part of its programming is missing. And then they had
they gave birth to a maggot.
Pretty much. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Love that TikTok shop.
Yeah, I won't be shopping for that. So yeah, we bring it on board, and
So
a whole lot of talk of biological units and infestations and
just
fulfilling missions, and why doesn't Kirk unit divulge the information and all this other stuff.
and it just becomes a whole thing. And it's like so Nomad's trying to find his creator while all at the same time sanitizing anything that's not perfect.
Right, which is everything.
Which is everything. And then slowly realizing is that part of its creator's name happens to be Roy Kirk, which is
right.
Say fast enough with James Kirk. Hey, Kirk. Okay. Cool. That's creator. Sounds close enough. Say Kirk.
Sounds the same. I do want to point out real quick, though, that Nomad was voiced by Vic Perrin. He passed away on July 4th, 1989, at the age of 73, by the way. So I just wanted to make sure that my record was intact.
100%.
Death ratio remains perfect. There was another one I wanted to point out that this is really interesting to me because it just blows my mind. There's a character in the show named Singh. He's a crew member on the Enterprise. He's played by Maki Baisdell. He was the first person that I had found actor had passed away, but unknown character, didn't really make a difference. But this is what's funny. I go to his Wikipedia page. He was born Maki Kalai Kenapika Apeli Kai Kalawaya Puna Blaisdell.
You know what?
You thought Mahershala Ali was bad.
You know what? I will leave that for you to pronounce.
I don't know if I even said it right, but he was from Hawaii, so it sounds kind of Hawaiian, you know? I mean, kind of. Right?
I suppose so. But, you know, hey, I will leave the pronunciation of that name to you. Because there is no way I could be able to do that without absolutely and completely butchering it and causing the gentleman to want to punch me in the face.
I'm sure I didn't do it justice, but I don't think I did horrible. But that being said, some funny scenes.
So
Nomad is settling in.
I will say the funniest thing I thought was after he had wiped Uhura's mind and studied the data. So of course Bones and Spock and Kirk were like, you know, bring her memory back, blah 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 blah, you know, yada yada yada, and Nomad replied, said, analyze the data. Her thoughts were a bunch of oh gosh, I forgot it already. Inconsistent.
I know
it's inconsistent. Oh gosh, contradictions. Inconsistent contradictions. That's.
Yes. Nomad wants to know what Uhura is, and Spock replies that unit is a woman. And Nomad replies a mass of conflicting impulses.
Conflicting impulses, that's it.
But I mean, literally, he hears her singing.
It gets his attention.
And asks her to think about singing, and then while it's scanning her brain, just wipes her clean. The funniest thing about this, though, is that it can't repair her. So, when it wipes Uhura's memory clean, Scotty intervenes. And
yes.
Scotty gets killed. It kills Scotty. It's able to repair Scotty because it's physical damage, I guess. So they repair Scotty. It's
Yes.
not permanent. He comes back to life. But they can't repair Ahora's memory. But they manage to successfully fully re-educate her by
Right.
the end of the episode.
Right. Exactly. And then it was saying after about a week she'll be at college level. It's like, wait, what? So, wait, what?
We haven't even gotten to that episode of Spock's brain yet with the teacher that you put on your head. And it teaches McCoy how to do brain surgery in like 12 seconds. Like we haven't even gotten to
So,
that episode yet. That would make some sense if they were like, "Hey, we stole the plans for that teacher. We
right?
got one down in the library."
Or, Spock was like, hey, yo, so while I was at Vulcan the last time when I was, fighting for my wife, so on the way out, I snagged this. And, yeah, how about we just try that real quick and see how that works? I think you're muted.
My bad. That wasn't me. I'm trying not to cough in the ear of our listeners. But what this reminds me of, I mean, is that in Rise of Skywalker, they had to erase 3PO's memory in order to be able to have him translate the Sith writing language to find the MacGuffin, I mean the Wayfinder, so that they
Correct.
could go and find the Emperor. And then his memory was restored at the end of the movie by R2, who kept a backup of his memory. People complained about that because it really kind of negated C-3PO's sacrifice, but at the same time, that is 1,000 times more believable
Right.
than fully re-educating a dedicated communications officer
In less
with all of
than an hour.
right, right,
So I mean,
right.
I could understand that if Nomad had said, oh well, okay, yeah, sure, I could do that, and then establishes a whole thing, and then repairs her mind the same way that he repairs Scotty's body. Scotty's body.
Scotty's
I
done.
don't know why this
That
just made me tickle just now.
well, I guarantee you that movie does not sound nearly as exciting as Jennifer's Body.
Right. Because Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. No one tells Scotty because Scotty doesn't know.
And furthermore, why would Nomad be willing to so um, conveniently repair Scotty when he's already on this mission that I have to eliminate the
Yeah.
biological units infesting Enterprise?
Right? And so then it also it seems to me it's like if he's going through or Nomad is going through and scanning through all these planets for biological life signs, and it should know when it sees or it runs into a biological life sign. Regardless of a communications operator that's singing, or whatever the case may be, you should know a biological organism when you see one, or at least when you scan for it. That's
Yeah,
just my opinion.
right, right. But Kirk and Spock, they got to do something, so they put it in the brig.
Which
I
I
guess.
mean,
I'm
it's fine because what are you gonna do? Make quarters for it? I mean,
no, I guess not. Yeah,
so the brig is just fine, just as good as place as
which
any.
which does absolutely nothing because Nomad escapes and kills two crew members in the process, of whom he does not repair.
Right? Because he has figured that, hey, everybody on this ship is disposable. So he decides that they all need
Dispose.
to be sanitized because why? they are not perfect.
They're not perfect. But yeah, I
So
mean, it's
yeah,
just I'm telling you, I have to ask, did they really just base the whole motion picture on this episode?
it would seem like it. It definitely would seem like it, or at least this episode was kind of a retelling of the movie to kind of help boost the movie. But no, because the movie came out after this. Never
Right,
mind.
years after.
Never
So
mind.
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't even matter. I would not be surprised, James, in our comment section, if Nomad was built by Tesla, because it looks like something that Elon would build, and it
Mm-hmm.
employs the same logic and
Yes.
hate that Elon employs on a daily basis. So
Right.
that's
So
not a stretch.
it would make sense. So yeah.
So now we figured it out. Nomad's origins are originally from South Africa, funded by emerald mining.
Oh, did we say that out loud on the internet?
Did they scrape off? Did they, like in Beeger? Did they rub off the little thing and it said SpaceX carved in the side of it or something like?
No, it wouldn't have space. It would just have X. Because that's just he's obsessed with that letter. I don't know why.
It's probably sending. I know, I don't understand it either. And it was probably sending all of its like surveillance data and stuff back to like a Twitter handle, like at
Right.
Nomad the hookah probe.
That's it, right? At Nomad Hookah.
At Nomad hookah on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. But yeah, throughout this whole episode, we get the evil AI just learning everything it needs to learn, and then
And how
what
do we
the
beat
hell?
it? How do we
Uh,
beat it? We employ a logical paradox against it, which is the beginning of all of our attacks on AI going
Mhm.
forward. We just need to confuse it because AI
Yes.
is apparently really dumb in the 23rd century.
So yes. So it goes from kind of smart to really smart to just idiotic.
It's just dumb. And all it takes to defeat this thing is for Kirk to say, well, your prime directive is when you
Yeah.
make a mistake to
Yeah.
self-destruct. And you
So-
confused me with your creator. I'm
So-
James T. Kirk, not Jackson
Roy Kirk. So that's one error. So you need to delete yourself. And then the simple fact is that you made that error. That's two right there. So you need to definitely delete yourself. So
Delete yourself. Like ASAP.
that's it. And so, yeah, and then apparently that's enough of a logic statement to confuse it. And it
Yep,
decides is that,
Nomad starts to overheat like trying to mine Bitcoin on your 1998 Windows system.
so it you feel that you see the sparks and you see the smoke. And then it just all of a sudden just like, error, need to, what? And yeah. They get it to the transporter and just shoot it outside.
Space. Just beam it into space.
Just beam it
Or
into
as they would
space.
say, it's a little more crude in the Battlestar Galactica universe, but Nomad got airlocked.
Basically.
Basically got airlocked.
Nomad got murked.
Got murked. Yeah. Yeah. Stunned and then deleted. So
And
it's
you
all
would think,
deleted.
and you think at this time, at the 23rd century, after all of the decades and the centuries of AI trying to take over, and which praise our alien and robotic overlords, hail Xenu. So, anyways. And you would think at this point we'd have some way to kind of say, hey, we got something for you. And it's not tic-tac-toe, as a War Games reference for anybody that has
Yes.
not seen that great movie.
I got that one too. And I actually like that movie, but again, another example of defeating AI with
With just
a logical fallacy, essentially,
exactly.
a logical paradox. And we're going to see this again this season. I'm not going to spoil a surprise for you because it has the return of one of our favorite characters. Me and Gilbert just love this guy. He's fabulous, in all of his
So great.
mustache twirling glory.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
yeah, the favorite guy you just want to kick in the crotch every time
I
you
would have
see him.
I would have rather it be let's like if I was better at like digital reproductions and stuff like that, I would go back to that episode and I would superimpose all the scenes with him
Mm-hmm.
with Dr. Robotnik, Jim Carrey's voice of Dr. Robotnik from the Sonic movies. Which by the way, the Sonic movies are actually very fun. They're very fun
I
movies.
I've gone on record. I've famously said I do not like video game property movies, but Sonic is one of the ones I do enjoy. Even though,
It's fun.
even though it takes place in the real world, I hate movies like that. But still, I still enjoy them. I still enjoyed it. I've
I
yet
haven't
to
seen
see. I still have
the
yet to
newest one
see the newest one and the
with Keanu
and
Reeves.
right, yeah, that one and the Knuckles
I
miniseries.
haven't seen Knuckles. I've seen Sonic 1 and 2. But yeah, I haven't seen the Knuckles
Yeah,
independent show series, and I don't even is the new one with Keanu even out yet, or is it
um,
still like being advertised?
Zio
Not
in the
sure about
chat
that.
says it is. So it looks like
Oh, I
he
got you
watched the third one
apologize, right?
yesterday.
You're gonna make me say it, James. It's hardcore Fenton Mud. But yeah, I know it, unfortunately.
Hardcore. I hate that guy.
I
The
hate
favorite.
that guy.
I hate that guy. Just the one guy you just want to. All the time you just see him, you just want to punch him in the face. You know, even though he deserves it, because you don't know why he deserved it, but you know he did something, and the only reason you're seeing him is because it's about to catch up to you.
I still need to see the Discovery version. I've only seen clips. I've got to get through Discovery, but now that I have Paramount again, I'm going to sit down and start going through
Yeah. Now
that series.
I will say, oh, what's it? Rain? Is it Rain Wilson? Yeah, that plays Harry Mudd in Discovery, and I will say
It's vicious.
he encapsulates Harry Mudd perfectly to the point where you want to punch him in the face. It's,
Yeah, you're not wrong, Max. The Charlie Kirk syndrome, the Nick Fuentes syndrome, the
oh
Stephen Buff
yeah,
syndrome. I mean, we could go down a list of people that like welcome to Gretchen and Gilbert's face punchings extravaganza.
so yes. Who do
Line
you
up
want
all the
to?
people, and we're just gonna walk down the line and just start
It
throwing
just
haymakers at every one of them.
it just Superman punched them all, and
Oh
I
yeah, Joe. Oh,
and General Gambit up in the TikTok chat. What's going on, bruv?
hey again,
And
how you doing?
we're just up here talking about Star Trek and Superman punching peoples. And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean we're to the end of this episode. I mean, again, there's not much to it. Beam aboard a
Uh,
human probe, gets launched into space, meets alien technology, gets its programming all messed up, thinks it has to destroy all biological life while also seeking out its creator.
yeah,
Um, kills a few people, erases a horror's memory, which comes back in the end of the episode weirdly because they just taught her real fast. Kills
of
Scotty,
course.
fixes him. They defeat him, confuse him with a logical paradox because AI in the 23rd century is dumb. They beam it into space and self deletes.
Pretty much. Yeah. And Gambit, yeah, pretty much becomes the Borg or becomes Bender from Futurama. So, there's that. With kill all
Yeah.
humans.
Yes, exactly. But But yeah, you can just confuse it like the wizard from Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail. What's your favorite color? Red. No, blue. Ah!
Is that
And you're like,
blue?
boom, and it's dead. And it's dead.
Right,
Nope.
exactly. Or, like in war games, just play tic-tac-toe.
Just
And
play tic-tac-toe. Just play tic-tac-toe.
just play tic-tac-toe
They beat a wartime supercomputer.
with tic-tac-toe. Yes.
Well,
Hey, super.
wait till we get Mr. Mudd's episode. That one's even stupider.
So, right, and we're looking at, a multi-$1,000, probably at the time, $1 million setup supercomputer chain whatnot, brought down by tic-tac-toe. Tic-tac-toe, yes.
brought down by tic-tac-toe.
Part of the most advanced AI ever created, brought down by tic-tac-toe.
Now, in the end, I don't hate this episode. I do remember when I first saw this as a kid, Nomad instilled in me the first real sense of dread that I had in a Star Trek episode.
Oh, yeah, because at any
I honestly
second.
felt it was unhinged,
Mm-hmm.
and I just felt at any moment it could just destroy the entire crew. I was probably like 6, 7 years old, but I mean, like
Right,
still, it
exactly.
actually scared me. And I was like, so I'm going to give it that. It's still for small production TV, and these ideas are relatively new when the series came out. So I'm not going to fault them for the fact that they used them a lot.
No, right. Because, I
We're
mean,
talk about overusing something. We're going to have an episode where I just rail on time travel.
of course, I mean, the time travel episodes have been in every one of them. Every iteration of Star Trek has always had a time travel episode.
In one way or another, if not multiple. I mean,
Yes, multiple, yes.
the first two of the four TNG movies involve some kind of time skipping, time jumping, time traveling, rewinding
Right?
time.
Yes, exactly. And,
They only made four big screen productions, and two of them were.
two of them were time-based. And like in, Picard. What's it Picard?
Hard.
When they did the
Second season.
when they did the time travel season.
Because again, that famously, we talked about this on a previous episode of Rules. It famously had the Kirk Thatcher, the guy who played the punk rocker
Mm-hmm.
in the other time travel movie with the whales, played
Say
the
it.
same character of the punk rocker on the bus because he was all freaked out by Seven.
You have to save the whales. You have to save the whales.
So time travel.
So yeah, time travel. Gotta love the time travel.
Only one time travel in the original series movies out of the big six. Only one.
Fun fact for you, our audience, because why? We are dedicated like that. Like that.
Oh, we're getting to that episode this season, Max. We'll talk about it soon. See,
Yeah, see?
we'll get a piece of the action. See,
Yeah, as soon as we get to the piece of action, see? And fun fact on that episode, that was actually the first episode I saw. I saw. That was the first episode of the original series that I saw. Because my original dealings with Star Trek was with Next Gen. And the very first episode of the original series I saw was Piece of the Action. See? Yeah, see?
Now go on, kid. Get out of here. You bother me.
I wish to get out. Yeah, that one had the best fight scene where Kirk grabbed the guy's shoulders, shook his shoulders, and gave him a double axe handle.
I love the double axe handle move. Kirk likes to go to that a lot. He's a big fan of the double axe handle. Spock has used it on a number of occasions too, which I guess you do what you can since the Vulcan death grip isn't real. But
Right?
still, interesting fact. This is, I think, one of my dad's favorite episodes. because I remember him describing it to me before as it was coming on, and I think
Mm-hmm.
his definition of the episode, his description, just scared me even more, which is why this episode had such a profound effect on me as a kid that just creeped me out. I couldn't watch it again for many years. Now I watch it and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah, just even still, it kind of gives you those slight heebie-jeebies at any second. He could that
no,
Nomad could just been like, "Oh, everybody here needs to go."
Nomad is scarier to me than V'ger was.
Yeah,
And
because
V'ger was immensely larger and more powerful.
exactly, but the Nomad was a lot more unhinged. But V'ger,
Yeah.
V'ger
You
was
almost got
something.
the you almost got the impression that Nomad, if he could, almost liked what he was doing.
Yes,
Like
I mean,
I could almost see it kind of floating away, going, "You see what I did? I just wiped that chick's mind."
it's like almost to a point of sounding unhinged. It's like, did you see that? I completely cleared her mind. That was so great.
Then,
And like he would just kind of be completely
then,
unhinged.
and then I broke your engineer like I would a game controller after a bad match of Halo.
He's like, put them back together. Do I have to? Do it now. Fine.
Fine, whatever.
It's like,
I'll break all of you again later. But still, not a bad episode. I didn't dislike it. So
no, I enjoy it.
I
Definitely enjoyed it.
I
It's a great
I give
episode.
solid thumbs up. Two
Oh,
thumbs up, definitely.
2 thumbs up here. Yes, because it
Space
gives
Hookah,
you
the Destroyer.
space hookah, and again, just because it's almost like a space hookah robotic serial killer. So
Yeah.
do with that what you will.
Yeah. I'd almost like to see some kind of reinvention of that particular character, I guess. It's a character.
Well, yeah, yeah, definitely, because yeah, even it crossed into the point of being, sentient,
Hmm.
and so even let it would be cool just to kind of see a, I don't know, a remake or a retelling or something that just kind of showed that their efforts in trying to have Nomad destroy itself, it ended up to a point kind of destroying itself, but then it repaired itself, and then it repaired the flaw within its mind that Kirk was able to exploit.
Something.
Yeah. So
That would be very interesting. I'd love to see something like that. So,
yeah. So even as part of it just of Nomad that kicked in its self repair. And then it fixed the flaw of that Kirk exploited of, you're supposed to, you're an imperfect being because you look for perfection, blah blah blah. And so yeah, not being able to exploit that.
you
So
could
without
almost say,
doubt.
you could almost say it transformed itself.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha. I see what you did there.
You see what I'm doing there?
I see what you did there.
How was that segue? Because
So,
today's topic,
we-
following the review of the Changeling, is Transformers.
yes. So we had an interesting discussion. I would say discussed last Sunday on the Village View where we were talking about the GoBots versus the Transformers, and Thomas, I do not understand why you defended the GoBots.
I
Nobody,
don't understand that too.
nobody.
But before we get to the GoBots, I just want to say, look, I am a nerd, yes, but I also pulled an absolute 50-year-old textbook maneuver yesterday. On Saturday night, I went to bed at 6:30 p.m. And of course, I woke up at like 1:30, 2 in the morning. But then I sat down and I started watching movies. And I just have to say,
Mm-hmm.
Transformers 1 was awesome.
Right. Right.
That movie
So
was awesome. I'm
so
sorry it did not get the box office return that it did. I need a sequel.
I need to see it, yes. Yes, I've said for for the longest, definitely since the 90s, probably well since the 80s, since this came out, I've always said I've hated seeing humans in the Transformers unit. I've always wanted to see a series where it takes place on Cybertron. I've always wanted to see a series where it shows how the Great War started, or series about the Great War on Cybertron. I've always wanted to see that, and few of the series has come close to it. Between Beast Wars, Beast Machines, the animes of Beast Wars, Transformers. Well, I would say Armada and Cybertron because those took place on Cybertron, but also on Earth at the same time. Same with um, Energon, Armada, and Cybertron. Those kind of took place on multiple places, multiple planets. So those are kind of, I can excuse those, but I've always wanted to see something that happens on Cybertron.
They did a very good job of separating it from human Earth history and culture. Even the vehicles that they transform into looked
Yeah,
alien.
yeah.
They didn't look like Volkswagen Bugs and Mack trucks. It was
It's like you would
alien.
see a car, but it was like not quite like a
Uh,
Camaro, or not quite like a Bug, and definitely not a Cybertruck. You
oh,
definitely
thank
like
goodness.
that.
Thank goodness there were no cyber trucks in this. Technically, in the truest sense of the word, they
I
were
mean,
kind of
and
cyber trucks, but
but I mean,
they
it
had cyber
didn't.
cars and cyber bikes and cyber planes and cyber guns and tanks and
Right, but it didn't look like the like a 5-year-old drew it. You know what I mean? And
but
I definitely enjoyed that movie so much because, and you would hear, and if I'm not mistaken, they explored it more in the comics of it, of Orion Pax becoming Optimus Prime, and how is Megatron adopted, his
he was
namesake from
D.
Megatronus.
Yeah, he was D16.
Right. From
Right.
D16
Um,
to being Megatron. From
I was a little apprehensive going into the movie because of the oversaturation of Chris Hemsworth recently. I
yeah,
mean, he's been Kirk's dad. Thor is everywhere.
right.
But he did a fantastic job. But I'm sorry, Chris, as great as you were in this movie, you were absolutely outshadowed by Brian Tyree Henry. His
True.
turn to Megatron
I mean, you
was
felt it.
brilliant.
I mean, you
Yeah,
felt it. I mean, you felt it every time when they would get in situations where you could see clearly that what Orion Pax was doing was just wearing on him.
it was wearing on him.
Is and you try to have his back, but then Orion would do something, and it would just be like, okay, now I'm in another fight because of this guy. Oh my god, now I'm
And
here because of this guy. Jesus Christ, what is he
he's
gonna
getting into
do?
all this crap, and it's just driving me crazy. And his slow. It wasn't just a quick, "Oh, I'm a bad guy now." I mean, you saw it building through the whole movie,
Yeah, and you just saw
getting
it just keep.
angrier and angrier.
Yeah, and every time that he's trying to essentially set a boundary, Orion was just like, "Man, fuck your boundary,
Swear jar.
swear jar." But essentially, that's how he was. He's like, screw your
Yeah.
boundary.
And well, here's my addition to the swear jar because I need to reiterate this. When Sentinel had D16 on the ground before he was Megatron, and he's burning the symbol
Mm-hmm.
that will become the Decepticon symbol into his chest. I literally out loud looked at my TV and said, "You just fucked up.
Oh
You
yes.
just created Megatron in that moment
Said
right there.
right then and there.
Right then and there is when it happened. I was like, oh my God."
Said
Um,
at one point, before that, it's like, yeah, he would have been pissed at Orion, but he would have still been he would have still been on the right side, so to speak. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He would have been pissed at Orion, but he would have still fought beside him. But the second that Sentinel had him down and etched Megatron as his symbol, which
right.
would become the Decepticon symbol, into his chest, yeah, that
The
was
turning
it.
point right there. It was over at that point. There was no salvation for Megatron at that point,
Yeah, and
or
so
D16 before he took the title. But
and it was
um,
just pretty much when they left from was it were they in Icon? I think they were in Icon City. So once they left from outside of there, and then they saw how Sentinel was working with the Quintessons, and then hearing it was a Vector Prime that they revived.
yeah, the one played by Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes, Vector Prime. Yeah,
I believe it was. I can check the cast. I've got it open here. Alpha Trion.
Alpha Trion. So when when Alpha Trion, he told him that no, Sentinel was a bad guy, and the simple fact and hearing that and confirming it, and then D16 now hearing that he is the bad guy.
Like
That's now
I'm done with leaders. I'm not following it because he
yeah.
like Optimus. Um, Before they idolized him.
Yes, because again, he had spun the story of the Quintessons game, and it was a great battle, and we lost all the primes, we fought them off, and blah blah blah. So we protected you all, and da 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 da. So to pay back here, we need you to work. So
Yes, we are, Mr.
So, yeah.
Marco. Yes, we are. Today's Transformers Day. And
we're talking about
started on
Transformers.
we started on Transformers 1 because I hadn't seen it yet. I just recently got my Paramount access back and I watched it last night. I was just blown away. Like, I have to mirror Gilbert's sentiment on this. I like that it didn't take place on Earth. It didn't have human elements in it,
Mm-hmm.
other than obvious anthropomorphization of the characters. But I
Right.
mean, like, even the one joke they made about it, and by the way, B was fantastic.
Yes. Shout out to Keegan Michael Key. Loved him as
Badass,
Bumblebee.
badassatron.
Badassatron.
Right, but the one joke he made when he's got his like three little robots because he's kind of going nuts because he's on some
Yeah,
level
because
thing.
he's
And he's
been
like, this is so and so, this is so and so, and this is Steve,
Scott.
and they're
He
like,
said,
Steve, and he's
says,
like, he's foreign.
yeah,
He's foreign.
he's foreign.
Like, okay, because everyone's
It's
like,
like-
what kind of a name is Steve?
So kind of name is Steve. So he's foreign. And then
But the planet itself, the graphics were fantastic. I love the surface, the way it's kind of like intermixed with like had biological stuff growing on
right,
top of this ever transforming landscape.
yeah, and I love that they kind of took the elements from Beast Machines and doing a whole techno organic
The
environment.
the antelope or whatever. That's
Yeah,
like, yeah, there's
like the
whatever they
deer,
call it.
the elk or whatever it was. Yeah, to be like mechanical and looks like it could transform. The river of that looks like water, but it's energon, of course. The trees, the grass that looks
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Everything looked, but it was organic. got a question in the chat from Mr. Marco the Evil. Favorite Transformer? I have two overall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hot Rod slash Rodimus Prime is probably my overall favorite.
Okay.
We will discuss the French accent version here shortly. Um, on the other, but Snarl, the Stegosaurus of the Dinobots, is my second favorite, even though he never really gets a whole lot of screen time in the cartoons or in the movies. So it's kind of a background character. But Hot Rod's probably my overall favorite, thanks to the 1986 Transformers movie.
Okay. All right. Mine. I have two as well. My. You all right? So my first one, and which is also probably my number one favorite, is Starscream. Always been Starscream. Always going to be Starscream. The second one is the one I actually share the same one with you, Gretchen, is Rodimus Prime.
Rodimus Prime.
And always those have been my two favorite. And the French accent.
I want to give an honorable mention to Soundwave just because I've always loved his voice.
Yeah.
And
I definitely have Soundwave.
Tape deck and had, launching, his little minions out. So that was an honorable mention there.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And then, of course, the iconic, Soundwave Superior, in which that whole saying has just carried across over decades. Which
Soundwave Superior, Constructicons Inferior. Yeah. And then his little thumper dudes, like,
right?
Not in the 86 movie, and makes them all fall down.
And at some point at every version, well, I would say almost every series of Transformers that Soundwave is in, it has some form of him saying Soundwave Superior. Regardless of whether or not he says, Constructicons Inferior,
or somebody
else inferior, it's always Soundwave Superior.
That's his tagline. It's like, James says in the chat he can sound like Grimlock, but we know Grimlock's tagline, be Grimlock, be king.
Yeah, exactly.
So, even the Dinobots didn't speak in the Michael Bay movies, did they?
No, they didn't. They were just
any of those.
Mm-mm.
They were just menacing and chaotic.
They were just big ass mechanical dinosaurs.
Destroying everything. Another comment from Mr. Marcus or Mr. Marco in the chat. I need to mention that. Yes, and I think a Robotech episode is definitely in the future.
Oh, as well. Yes. Oh, I love
Robotech. It's fantastic, but one of my favorite video games of all time. God, I would go spend life savings just to find a GameCube. Was the Robotech video game on GameCube? Was fabulous.
See, I never played it.
Oh, it was fantastic. But yeah, it did look like a VX fighter from my friend had it, the big red and blue jet. And it was really cool. Because the funny thing was you could transform it too, just pull the legs down and the arms.
Yeah.
It would look like the Guardian mode of a VX fighter from Robotech.
Oh, yeah.
It was a cheap way of having Robotech toys because they weren't readily available when I was a kid. Robotech was very hard toys to find as I was a kid. So,
oh yeah, they were very hard to find.
But we'll definitely have Robotech. We'll have a Voltron episode, I'm sure, at some point.
Of course.
Thundercats.
The Lion Voltron, not the vehicle ones, because
no, I'm not doing the vehicle ones.
No,
that was a blatant ripoff of Transformers, trying to build on the fame of Voltron.
Yeah, and it's just a no. It's a no on that one. But anyway, so.
Well, and there were 500 people, like 500 vehicles that formed Voltron, right? You couldn't.
Right?
I can't know all these characters. There's too many of them.
So it's like what? And here's the thing that I like about Voltron, just the lines, because it's five names you just need to remember. Keith, Allura, Lance, Sven, if you want to remember Sven. Pidge and Hunk.
Pidge and Hunk, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
That one starts out great. I love the 5-part miniseries. They're walking across the bridge to the castle, and like these rocks fall on the bridge, and they all stop, and They go, rocks. Anyway,
Right.
we're not getting
So,
into that. This is not Voltron. This is
yeah.
Transformers. And
But I will say
just
that
go ahead.
no, I was about to say that the Michael Bay ones, I didn't much care for those. They were okay. But the ones that I did like when it started from Bumblebee. Oh, which one? The Bumblebee movie.
Bumblebee, just called.
Yeah, it
Bumblebee.
was just Bumblebee. Okay, yeah. Then
The thing that I thought was interesting is all the criticisms that I was reading levied at Transformers One. One critic was saying that he thought it was just too busy. Like all the transformations and battle scenes were too
mhm.
fast. He couldn't keep up with them. I'm like, um, that would be the Michael Bay versions. Are you getting
Yeah.
confused here?
I
Because
mean,
those movies, you can't even see them transforming. It's just this mess of
yeah, all the
stuff.
thing you just see is just like a big giant mechanical thing just spinning around, and then all of a sudden it's a jet, and then you see a big thing spinning around, and it's a robot. And it's whereas with this Transformers One, the fight scenes with those, I mean, you clearly could
kept up.
see, it was easy to catch up with them. And once they figured out how to, to transform and maximize their transformations, then you saw that they used it while fighting, because it was a great fighting technique.
Yeah,
And
I think Mr. Marco brings up again, says something just failed to
listen,
impress him in the last night, because I watched that one last night also. I watched last night. Um, um, there's numerous things. I mean, let's just start at the beginning of the franchise. I mean, because if you were like me, when I heard Transformers was coming out in the theater, I rushed to see it when it came out.
oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
rushed. And
Because
and and then Sheila Barf shows up on screen, and I'm like,
and then you have to hear is all right. So
and he's got this goofy last name, which I can look over. Okay, Witwicky. But when I got to last night, and they're talking about the Witwickens, I was like, what?
the the what?
The secret order of the
The,
Witwickens, guarding the history and the secret history of the Transformers on Earth for many years, because we know they've been here forever.
yeah,
The Beast Machines have been here for a long time, as was
hmm,
evidence, which is one of my more liked movies in the franchise. I thought Rise of the Beast was a decent one.
yes,
Um,
I did. I enjoyed that one. Yeah. Um.
I didn't hate Last Night, but I didn't love it. And the fact that they had to show me that goofy picture of Sheila Barf from his
Uh,
eBay page selling
yeah.
that stuff, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" And again, we mentioned this earlier in the show. Hot Rod had a French accent.
Let me put it to you like this: when I heard that Hot Rod was going to be in what was it last night? Anyways,
That's the most recent one.
no, it was the one before that one. So anyway, when I heard Hot Rod was going to be in it, I was thinking, "Oh f yes, f yes." I've been wanting to see Hot Rod for the mother loving longest. I wanted to see, if they would, somehow would do the whole thing of Optimus Prime dying and then Hot Rod becoming Rodimus Prime.
Right.
That's what I was hoping for.
That's what I wanted to see.
But nope, here we get, oh, hello, I am Hot Rod. The
Oh God. Every time he spoke, I was like, "No, stop, stop."
I was like,
Like,
shut, just,
my
I was
head.
like, just stop, just,
But just to clarify what I said here, Last Night is the last movie chronologically in the series. Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast both came out
before that,
after
yeah. I mean, they came
that.
after it, but it's set
They were
before
set
then.
chronologically
Yeah.
before, yeah. So And I was just going to mention that, Mr. Marco. The thing about the Bay movies that gets me is that they're so convoluted and confusing. We've
Yeah.
got we go from the Allspark to every movie
To
has a different MacGuffin, and it's just like, can't we just stick with Energon?
yeah. I mean,
That was
what? Because that was the main thing in the original series was them going to Earth to get Energon, or at least, well,
Energon, and
they
then the Matrix of Leadership.
right.
These were the important MacGuffins.
The important ones was first Energon. How are they going to get Energon? And so, of course,
Food. They got to eat.
exactly. And so then, yeah, it became from Energon to the Autobot Matrix of Leadership. Every now and again, they would say something about, the Allspark or the Allspark, but they kind of mention the Allspark the same way as they would mention, Primus. As just like the Allspark is part of their, religion or part of their god tier, and Primus was the god, whereas, the Allspark would be like their robot Jesus.
Right, right. And this is the other thing that really got me with last night. I was waiting for a live action movie to have Unicron in.
Oh,
And I
yes.
want to see Unicron transform into the robot form like he
Yes.
did in the 1986 version animated movie. But no, Earth is Unicron apparently, and it's growing horns and
Um,
the
it's like,
planets
really?
collide. And I'm sorry, the animated depiction of Cybertron in Transformers 1 was 1,000 times more impressive to me and beautiful and seamless and smooth than whatever that thing that
Right.
was dragging continents out of the ground at the end of.
Yeah. And it's like I could live with, because they kind of did this in Transformers Prime. I think that was the name of it, where Earth, well, of course, Cybertron was Primus that, transformed so that the Autobots and, they could live. And Unicron transformed and became Earth. And which is why that Transformers and were always drawn to Earth, because Unicron. And so
It makes
I
sense.
could I could I could live with Unicron, you know, that Earth is Unicron. I could live with that, and I could live with, the horns growing out and whatnot on Earth. I could live with that. But I would love to see Unicron and Primus just, going at it.
Massive. I mean, massive to put all kaiju and
Say,
mecha
say yes.
kaiju to shame. Two giant
Said two
badass robots going
planets.
at it in space.
Said two
Yes.
giant robot planets just going at it.
See, and my problem with Unicron being Earth is twofold. One, we bring back the Earth equation you and I have talked about. Can we stop
Yeah,
involving Earth all the time?
right.
And two, if Unicron does get to transform into a robot form, Earth is destroyed.
Yes.
So, I mean, what's the point anyway? Just make it a random donated planet. And I'm sorry, I still get chills when Unicron transforms in the '86 movie.
Oh
And
my
he says,
God. Yeah.
and Orson Welles gives that speech where he's like, for a time, I considered sparing your wretched little planet of Cybertron, but now
Said, but now,
you'll witness
yeah.
its dismemberment.
And then
And then just
he
starts
transformed, and when he transformed in his head, it was like, yo,
which goes back to
like,
something James said in the comments a little bit ago. I always liked me Grimlock kick butt. Me, Grimlock, need new strategy.
Right? Yes.
It was during that fight scene. So
Okay. Oh, at Grimlock, I would say Grimlock was one of the absolute best characters that in Generation One series.
hmm hmm
I would say in the later iterations in Transformers Cyberverse. I did like how they did all of the Dinobots in Transformers Cyberverse, in which they now created a whole new character where all the Dinobots combine and call themselves Dino King.
nice.
So
Kind
I
of like
did
its
like
own version of Devastator.
right, exactly. And so that was, and again, and it was oh gosh, I want to say it was the Machinima Transformers Transformers. I forget the name of it, but it was on YouTube, and it was the Machinima version, and they they alluded to what was called the Enigma of Combination, in which it was this actual kind of device thing that they brought into Cyberverse that explained how Constructicons were able to create Devastator, how the Technobots were able to create Computron, the whole nine. And this was the one thing that was able to allow them to do it, as opposed to just any random, 5 Autobots be able to kind of transform into one thing. This was the one thing, the one item, artifact, or whatever that made them do it. And so I like that how they brought it into Cyberverse and was able to explain a way that this is how the Constructicons were able to be Devastator instead of just, oh, we just think it'd be cool, and just giving it a way that us as fans would be able to kind of say, well, why is it the Constructicons have become Devastator, but why can't Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus and Huffer and Prowl and why can't they form something? And with them bringing in the Dinobots and creating a whole new character of Dino King, yeah, definitely that was something to sell toys, I could tell you that much.
Yeah. I used to love a lot of those, that you could put together as the toys. I never got to have any of that. In a way, Voltron's something similar to Devastator in a way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
5 Transformers that
Yeah, they
come
transform
together and
into a robot.
into a
So
giant robot.
yeah, so I mean, it's not just like, oh well, just we just randomly have just no. It's like it's something that has to be kind of engineered in order to do that.
I,
It is, yeah,
I've also come to the conclusion that Michael Bay hates the Great Pyramids of China.
obviously.
He really, really does. I mean, Devastator made a mess of them in the fight scene in the movie that he appeared in. They got pretty much dragged right off the surface of the planet in last
Right?
night. I mean,
It's like Mr. Marco said they didn't have the power of friendship.
oh boy.
I suppose they did. That's why.
But yeah, and I would go further and just say that with the Michael Bay movies, very few of the Transformers that I had grown up with, and I know this is an old nerd lamenting the old days gone by and stuff like that. Um, but like none of the very few of them were represented on screen in a way that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Bumblebee, yes, I did enjoy Bumblebee. Now you couldn't have him
Mhm.
as Volkswagen Bug because Fudiffick Nugan didn't want any of their vehicles portrayed in a movie with so much violence. So that's why
Yeah.
we never got to have. We always got the Camaro version because Chevy was like, I don't care, turn into a
So,
Corvette or a Camaro and go blow stuff up. We're fine with that.
so,
Oh, by the way, we're going to release a new Camaro, so we'll use that
so
as a
you know what? Yeah, we'll just use as a double fold. So you could say you could buy the old one, and those are still available. But we also got this shiny new 2009 model.
yeah, exactly. And you're not wrong, Marco. As far as an unopened box of Metroplex would get you some cash, we could probably do a whole show about like toys either we had or my friends had that we knew um, would fetch a fair price.
Yep.
I had the Imperial Walker, the AT-AT. Um, my friend had the GI Joe aircraft carrier. Can you imagine? I mean, that thing was 3 feet long.
Oh my god. What? I would say I had, of course, I had the original Megatron, and I had the original Optimus. Um, there's almost every Transformer that came out, I got because that was my thing. I love Transformers.
Again, I never had a whole lot of them. I mean, my growing up was Masters of the Universe. That's what I had the most of. I had all the play sets and the vehicles and the animals and the characters and stuff like that. And then I had smatterings of other things. So I mean, my GI Joes and Transformers would just pick sides, and they would fight with the Masters of the Universe. I mean, because GI Joes were always getting killed first. I was like the kid from The Boy Who Could Fly, burying
Hmm.
all my GI Joes out in the backyard because they were always the first to get wiped out in a battle with Masters of the Universe and Transformers figures.
Right?
And then my friend with his like 1.5 foot tall Godzilla that you press a little button and his fist would fly off. The Ewok
uh,
village would have probably pulled a fair
oh,
amount of cash.
absolutely. I would say any of the like original Star Wars toys, like especially the figures, especially if they're unopened. Yeah, without a doubt, those would definitely fetch you a good amount of money.
Oh yeah, I one best Christmas I ever got was that was Luke's X-wing, and you pressed on R2's head, and the
Hmm.
wings would snap open into attack position, and you pressed a button, and the little light would light up on
Oh
the
yeah.
front. You could put
Ye-
Luke in there. Yeah, I had that. My friend had Millennium Falcon, of course. I always had a good one, and then my a friend of mine always had the best one. Like the craziest thing. Like I've got an X-wing. I've got the Millennium Falcon. Mhm.
You. Oh, I
I
did
got Dagobah
fucking.
play. I got the Dagobah playset. I got the Death Star playset, complete with trash compactor and foam trash, and you can squeeze it and smash your figure.
Yeah, I get the test.
I got the Cobra his tank. I've got the aircraft carrier, and the bomber, and the GI Joe jet. And this one
So
friend of
you.
mine who was a single only kid.
Uh huh.
His parents would. He had everything. Never played with them. Never played with them, but had them all. They
Oh,
just sat
see.
pristinely in his room. I wanted to punch him and then take him home and play with him.
Oh, see, I was different because I was the only kid, and I had everything, but I played with all of it. Like it was
I play
all. I played with all of it.
when I thought I had outgrown Star Wars. I don't know why this is thinking you outgrew something. Um, my AT-AT became my robot dog. So what I did is I got an old dog leash and put it on it, and I used to walk around with it as my pet dog. Yeah. I mean, I played with my toys until they broke.
Right? I
So there
mean,
was nothing to keep. There was nothing to keep.
so yeah, I mean that was what I did. And it's one thing that, oh my god, it's one thing that I to this day I'm still heated with my mom about is when her and my dad got divorced. Well, technically they were separated, but once that happened, she threw all of my shit away. Optimus Prime, my He-Man playsets, my He-Man, all the figures, all my Transform, all that shit, threw all that shit out. I was so mad. I'm still mad because if I had all of those today, you know how much money I'd be sitting on right now?
A lot. I'm still gonna raid my kid and ex. They went to Florida for Christmas, so they're gone for 2 weeks. I already told them. I said I'm coming over sometime during the 2 weeks, and I am raiding my kid's closet because they never played with toys like I did as a kid. I bought them all this stuff, and they just never touched it. I've got a whole series of second gen Masters of the Universe waiting in that closet for me over there with Castle Grayskull and vehicles and various figures and stuff like that, which probably aren't worth much because they're second gen, but I mean,
Yeah,
again,
but
I'm gonna use
still,
them
it
as
worth something.
backdrops. They're gonna be backdrops for my future studio background. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
But um I had Megatron, I had Snarl, I had a few random Transformers. I remember like before the metal ones came out, I remember like Bumblebee and then the red counterpart. They were like plastic and they were tiny.
Yeah, Cliff
They were like
Jumper.
really small. Cliff Jumper, thank you. I
Yeah.
don't know why I can never remember his name. Um, the ambulance was Ratchet, correct?
Yes.
Had him, and Jazz. I had Jazz, who was a Porsche,
Mhm.
I believe, originally.
Jazz was yes, Jazz was a Porsche.
Right.
Yeah, Wheeljack was, I think, I want to say Wheeljack may have been a Porsche as well. I can't remember offhand.
There
But
were a lot of Transformers that had like twins,
yeah, there
except
was
for some of the big names. Like there was no like other Optimus Prime. They tried
no.
to get us excited about Ultra Magnus, but nobody.
It's like I mean, Ultra Magnus is is okay, but they tried hard with the movie trying to get Ultra Magnus, popular with fans, and yeah, he did gain some popularity and whatnot, but
Robert Stack did a competent voice
yeah,
for him in '86.
yeah,
So.
I it's a definitely, and I will say the one thing about the '86 movie that kind of maybe kind of let me know that this is not just like a the kitty cartoon that I thought it was two things. One, of course, was Optimus Prime dying, because at that point, there was really no cartoon character that died. I mean,
cartoon characters dying in that era was not common.
yeah. So that was the one thing. And then the second thing was, of course, Robert Stack with the Matrix of Leadership, saying, open, damn it, open. And it's like, that blew my mind right there, because that was the first time that you would ever hear, someone saying a wordy dird, on screen, and especially a cartoon that would say, that would cuss like that. And it was just, and that just blew my mind.
I would have to go back and watch it again. Didn't one of the original 5 pilots of Voltron die and was replaced?
That was Sven.
Yeah. Lance replaced him, or Sven replaced Lance?
So no, Sven was the one that died, and he was replaced by Princess Allura.
That's right. That's right. Allura.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then again, it was also originally a Japanese cartoon that was ported or ported in video games. Translated
basically
to American audiences. So.
Yeah. But the thing is that because American TV was censored so heavily, during the 80s at the time, a lot of the episodes were translated very G-rated, so we didn't get quite the context of the story that was supposed to have been, and a lot of the episodes were aired out of order. So, and you didn't really, unless the episode was self-contained, you really didn't know what was going on.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I guess with being that the 1986 Transformers movie was a theatrical release,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little bit different. And you can actually, like, there's a list here. Victims, deaths in that movie. 4 unknown Cybertronians eaten by Sharkticons, at least 24 unnamed Lithone inhabitants, unnamed
Mm-hmm.
Lithone scientists, Brawn, Prowl, Ratchet, Ironhide, Wheeljack, Windcharger, Optimus Prime, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Shrapnel, Bombshell, Kickback, Megatron, Starscream, 6 robot golden fish,
Yeah.
multiple Sharkticons,
Yep.
Shockwave killed off screen when Unicron attacked Cybertron, and then Unicron.
Mm-hmm.
Total deaths in the movie was 70.
Yeah. But the one that
70 deaths.
everybody remembers the most and the one that rocked everybody was Optimus Prime.
Of course. Of course.
Because, I mean, at that point, you would see, Ironhide and Prowl. They would they got shot, and then you would think that, of course, Ratchet will take them and just repair them and they'll be fine. You didn't really think anything of it. But when Optimus Prime, and he gave his whole speech and he passed on the matrix of leadership, that's when you know that one was serious. And so throughout the whole time, you're thinking is that, oh, everybody else will be repaired. They'll be repaired. Optimus, yeah, he'll be in the hospital for a while, but in the end, at the end of the movie, he'll be fine, or at least he'll be recovering and whatnot. Nope.
No, he gone.
He gone.
He gone. And that was what I think was so devastating to me and probably a lot of other Transformers fans there, is something the movies don't do. A lot of movies these days don't do. Probably a big reason why the DCEU has failed to get off the ground so many times now. We had years of this TV series that we'd been watching.
Mm-hmm.
We loved and fell in love with all these characters already, and then you start knocking them off one by one in this movie.
Yeah.
We were already invested in them. Where Michael Bay is just like, here's a bunch of Transformers, you know their names, they kind of look the same but don't really. Kill all of those just so I can in the next movie bring in 10 more, just so I can get every Transformer that's ever been made into my never-ending series of movies. Which, if Transformers 1 doesn't get a sequel, but yet Michael Bay can continue to get one over
Right.
and over and over again,
then there's something wrong. It's just something wrong. And
sorry, James. Yeah, we're at that sad point, but have a good night at work. We don't want to make you cry before work either. So. Thanks for
sorry,
stopping by, though.
sorry about that, man. But
Sorry, not sorry.
no, but yeah, it's. I will say, Transformers 1 was one movie that I had been wanting for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So long. If it was something to take place on Cybertron. And the series that came out on Machinima, they did as well. It took place on Cybertron, which that one was a great one. Only problem is that it just stayed on YouTube, because it was a great series, but it just stayed on YouTube. Now the only other one I'd say was the 3 that came out, the 3 little mini series that came out on Netflix. Earthrise and those 2. I only remember Earthrise. But those ones, if I'm not mistaken, mostly took place on Cybertron. And then they also had a kind of multiverse thing going on, in which you saw different versions of Well, now I would say a different version. A different Optimus Prime, which is Nemesis Prime, which again bring in Nemesis Prime and Galvatron. And then becoming.
And if I could just, for Thomas's sake, give it. I love how they used GoBots in the movie as an insult. When Alina is
Yes.
saying to Optimus, she's like, "You and your friend and those two GoBots over there are getting me into trouble all the time."
Right? Because again, Thomas. Nobody likes GoBots. Nobody wants to GoBots.
No.
Why do you think they only had one season of the one show? Nobody likes the GoBots. Nobody. It's been around for as long as Transformers, but the only one that's making any money is the Transformers.
Yeah, I'm looking at series here. Challenge of the GoBots, it's originally aired in 1984, had 65 episodes. Just the
Yeah.
first series of Transformers had 98. Ran for 3
Mm-hmm.
years versus one, and culminated with Transformers the movie in August of '86. Then you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 20, 29, 29 additional series to come after that. Leading up
Yeah.
to Earthspark, which is the one that's currently running.
Earthspark, that's it. So, yeah. Nobody likes GoBots, Thomas. Only you.
Yeah, and actually, since Hasbro did buy out Tonka, which originally created GoBots, they're stating here that they did establish the GoBots universe as an alternate universe within the Transformers multiverse.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
Psykill can stay way over there. I'm sorry. Psykill is
So,
one of the dumbest characters. They had a movie, did you know that, called GoBots, Battle of the Rock Lords?
I did. I I vaguely remember. I did, yes.
Their planet's
Because
name was Gobotron.
which Psycho. You ever seen a robot that looks like a divorced dad? Like a divorced alcoholic dad? That's what Psykill looks like.
They wanted so bad to get their piece of the action. I'm looking at the cast of their movie. I mean, they had Peter Cullen played one, two, three different characters in that movie. Margot Kidder played a character in that movie. Roddy McDowall was in that movie. Frank Welker was one, two, three, four, five, six characters in that movie. Like, geez, he really wanted to make sure that you were like, we got Frank Welker.
So yeah, we got Frank Welker. Yes, we do. Like, oh my god, it was. Because now when you said that, the GoBots versus Rock Lords, I remember that because I had one of the Rock Lords.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh
just
my
because I
God.
just thought it was cool.
Maybe. I don't remember what they looked like. Was it a
They look
rock
like,
that transformed into a robot?
yeah, yeah. It was just rocks that became robots. I got
Reminds
one
me
of them. I got one because it looked kind of cool.
reminds me of
It was dumb.
scene from Big where they're talking about the skyscraper, that their toy they want to make that transforms into a robot, and Tom Hanks is like, it turns into a building? Like, that's dumb.
Meanwhile,
I'm
they,
looking at pictures now, like, oh my God.
meanwhile, they made Metroplex,
Oh,
which is
I remember those now. I think I had one. I might have had one.
uh,
Because they were GoBots had such rudimentary transformation.
yeah,
Like, you would just bend them in half and pull some arms out, and boom, there was your transformation. Where,
mm-hmm.
Optimus Prime, you pull them apart, spin them around, pull the legs apart, arms come out, head pops up, chest flips down.
Yeah. It's like you had to work for it. You know?
You did have to work for it. The Dinobots were very complex, with like
Oh, well, you had
Gridlock's
to.
chest splitting open into wing and like
Yeah,
the
you had
big.
to split open. Then you had to turn his arms around and unfold his arms, and then you had to unfold his legs, and then yeah, you had to had to fold his legs to unfold his legs, and then. But oh yeah, and if Missy in the comment, Missy Crazy in the comment says, can you imagine arguing with yourself in that script? So if you play 5 parts, and part of one of those is you arguing with yourself.
Every time I had 299. GoBots did come first, yes, or concurrently. I mean, looking at the list of shows, GoBots released originally September 8th, 1984. Transformers released September 17th. It's like a week apart. So I can assume that they were probably created in tandem, not together, but like
At the same,
parallel.
yeah.
And they were probably like, "Hey, this studio over here is coming up with this thing. They got like this motorcycle and these rock people that like turn into robots." And then this other dude was like, "Oh, how about a semi truck and a gun?"
So you know what?
And then there you go.
So you
We
know
win.
what? They can have that motorcycle. We're gonna have a semi truck and a gun. Well, they
Just
also
looking
they have a
at some
plane
of
too. Well, what kind of
they
plane?
look so stupid. There's like one GoBot that's like the hood just folds down, the cab is floating there, and it's got two glowing eyes inside the windshield. I mean, it's so stupid.
Right? And we got T Nathan join up in the Tiki Talks. So
Hey.
we're up here just talking about Transformers and how much superior they are to the GoBots.
No, I mean, I do have to say this. Yes, GoBots were the Dollar Tree version of Transformers before Dollar Tree was even a thing. But I mean,
Absolutely.
growing up in poor neighborhoods, I knew kids. That's all they could get, you know. And I got some cool Transformers, but not all the ones like my
Mhm.
friends had. And I had a friend who had like he had boxes of GoBots, boxes of them. And I was like,
No.
I'm sorry, but I know, I get it. Your family can't afford anything else, and they want you to have Transformers. That was like me going to school in the 6th grade. Everyone else had Nikes and Adidas. I had a pair of high top tennis shoes. I had to take a Sharpie to and scratch out the name, like hide it, because they were called Slam Dunks.
There was
Pretty
a
sure my mom got them at Kmart.
girl that I went to high school with that on the back, and we were in band, and during games, like during high school games or or whatnot, we could kind of dress down to relax, which would be just a blue shirt of the high school, plain black pants or black shorts, depending on how hot or cold it was, and white shoes. This one girl, she wore Keds, okay? And I put it in air quotes like that because what she would do is that she had the Keds label and would glue it to the back of her shoe.
When you and I were in school, I mean, kids were brutal about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's a reason why our generation, I noticed it, I did it with my own kids, that I spent more money making sure they had good stuff so they wouldn't get bullied at school
Yeah.
for
But
wearing gluing labels on the back of your shoes or scratching out labels that,
and which here's the thing, so and if didn't make such a big deal about them being kids and put and gluing the label, nobody would have cared. Honestly,
Yeah.
we really wouldn't have cared because you're not expecting because it's just dressing down at a football game. We're not out trying to impress anybody or anything like that. Chaos, what's going on, bro? So we're not out trying to, do anything like that. Just
Right.
plain white shoes is fine. That was it.
It was, yeah. Those were hard years. So I do have a little bit of passion for anybody, a little bit of sympathy, a little bit of empathy for anybody who, hey, not only did your parents only buy you GoBots, at least they bought you Psykill. Uh, uh,
Oh my gosh!
I'm just
see,
for
here's
political correctness.
and my whole thing is that the only thing that killed it for me with GoBots, which I never would have had problems with GoBots if it wasn't for the scooter. If it wasn't for that transforming scooter, I would never have a problem with GoBots.
Stupid. It was absolutely stupid. I mean, it was the quintessential scene from the movie Big. Like a bunch of corporate types are sitting in a room going, what can't we transform into a robot? But
It's almost like they said, well, these other people are working on something called Transformers. Well, what all do they have? Well, they have a semi, they have some cars, a Jeep,
guns,
a gun, some planes. Oh, what kind of plane? Well, they have F-16s. We'll have an F-14. I call them Leader 1. We're going to be different. See, they have F-16s. We have an F-14. Yeah. So, they have a helicopter. We don't need a helicopter. We got an F-14. But they got a semi. We don't need a semi. We'll have a motorcycle. We call them Psykill. You see that? You see what I did there?
But even when Transformers went kind of outrageous they still had good ideas. I had a couple of the Insecticons, and I don't remember his name, but the Stag Beetle. He was awesome. I used to just transform him back and forth because it was just so fun to do. It was so complex. I'm like, oh, cool. It's like the Rubik's Cube of Transformers. It's like, how neat is this?
Right?
I didn't know what good is an insect transformer, but
no, I don't.
And they got their asses kicked in the '86 movie with the big.
Yeah, they did.
On the Autobot City in the beginning. Yeah.
But of course, then again, Insecticons were never like fighters like that. They were always like just how they were in the movies. Just they infiltrated. If they could do a little bit of damage here and there, whatnot, they would. But they were never really like a threat like that. Not like Sharkticons. Yeah. I mean, Sharkticons. That's ooh.
They were kind of cool. I loved the design of the Sharkticons. They were really neat.
Yeah, I did like the Sharkticons. They were so great. Them and the Junkions. I would say I love the Junkions.
Well, and you wouldn't get that fabulous song by Weird Al Yankovic.
Right? Exactly.
Without him, I don't think. Which was pretty cool, but
and again,
that was some fun stuff.
So GoBots had Leader 1 and Psykill, and what did Transformers respond with Starscream and Wreck-Gar. So we had to and again, both iconic characters.
And Starscream is another one of those that had a twin. Can't remember. It was a purple. It was where Starscream is like red and silver.
Well, there was
purple and black.
Well, there was Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp.
Skywarp is the one I remember.
And those are the three that were essentially, they were the same, just different colors, just different color scheme. Whereas Thundercracker was blue and Skywarp was black, and of course Starscream was like a grayish, like almost white, but
with the red accents.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I thought it was cool how they had a whole bunch of them in Transformers 1. And they were like originally this like the private guard, high guard or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Of the primes.
Of the primes, yeah. And it's just like, oh, okay. And then you see that Starscream wasn't always, the bad guy. That he was, he just did his duty, and he was a military guy, and he was not really a bad guy or a good guy. He was just Transformers that just doing his job.
They gave them all. Even the short, or everyone had an origin to some degree.
Yeah.
Even if it was minor.
Yeah, and it's always something that it fit. And
I half expected them to just, even if it wasn't the main ones, to just see random Dinobots on the surface.
Right. Or just
going about life.
Yeah.
Which
just like
kind of cool.
That would have been cool. Definitely would have been cool. Or just see like a random flying pterodactyl. Right. Something like that. Yeah.
That would have been cool. Well, pterodactyl was Swoop, right?
Yes.
And Slag was the Triceratops, Grimlock. And what was the fifth?
It was a Grimlock, Slag, Sludge, Swoop, and Snarl.
Sludge.
I think Sludge was not the Brontosaurus, it's the Ankylosaurus.
Find out. Brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus.
Yeah. Yeah, it had the tail. That's right, the tail. Because it was very active. I liked it because the Dinobots had a very prominent part to play in the 1986 movie. They were in a good part of the movie. And it's like, when you've got these great characters that people love, don't keep them from us all the time.
Yeah, use them.
Use them.
So, yes, and the whole is that me Grimlock, me King. Again, everybody. Iconic phrase that it started there. So, me Grimlock, me King, and up until then, we'd have stuff like, me Grimlock, Grimlock transform, me Grimlock, and that's all he would just say. But then, we would get, the iconic phrases and just the sayings that have made their way throughout all iterations of Transformers. In which at every time when you see Grimlock that shows up in one version of Transformers, he always has to say, some way, me Grimlock, me King. Every time.
Yep. I'm looking at some of the strongest Transformers out there, and is it just me or does Fortress Maximus look like Voltron?
He does.
Just looks like Voltron.
Yes.
He's got the same kind of like look on his face all the time that Voltron always has.
And see, the ones that I always wanted but I never got, except for one. I did get Omega Supreme, but I always wanted to get Minosaur. I never got Minosaur, but I did get Omega Supreme. I always wanted Metroplex, but I never got Metroplex.
Michael brings up a good point. Yeah, there were several that transformed into three different different objects.
Yeah, triple changers. That's what they were called.
Changers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was
a special name to them.
Yeah, the first one that we saw that I can remember was on screen was Springer, in which he was a helicopter, a car, and of course a robot.
Right.
Later on in the series, I know in Transformers Cybertron, that Megatron was able to transform into a plane and a car, almost looked like the '89 Batmobile, and
Right.
and a robot, and Mr. Marco, Six Shot. Six Shot was the one rare one that had like 6 different things that he changed into. It was like a gun and a robot and a car and a tank and a plane and something else. It's Astro Train. Never had Astro Train, but Astro Train was another one. Went from a shuttle to a train to a robot.
Well, and it was multiple. It was multiple robots too. So it was kind of a cross between the multi-changers and also Constructicons or any of the combining Transformers, because there have been several of those.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It was five different robots, and it was like space shuttles and stuff like that would transform. And they had him in them in the '86 movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
After Megatron was killed, and they're all fighting on Astro Train.
On Astro Train, yeah, for who's going to lead the Decepticons.
Right. Oh, and that scene when Galvatron shows up with Leonard Nimoy at the helm.
Oh, yeah. And then when you see him, he transforms into that cannon.
That cannon. And just lays waste. I was like, oh. That was awesome.
And yeah, that's one of those scenes where there was no way possible that Starscream was coming back off of that one. In which I don't know whose idea was it creatively to reuse Starscream and make his spark immortal like that. But shouts out to whoever that was, because that was a brilliant move. That was a brilliant move for a lot of Starscream fans, because at any point in time in Beast Wars, when his spark somehow shot back through time and he ended up, in Waspinator's body, that was the greatest episode I was ever seen. And then, yes, Mr. Marco made him a ghost in the second generation. And so and
that was a mistake on my part. Astro Train was not 5 robots. He was a triple changer. I was looking at 5 different versions of him. So,
okay. So but yeah,
he was one robot that transformed into a space shuttle, a train, and a robot.
Yeah, but he was just big as hell.
Big. He was big. Yeah.
And the one thing I could not understand about the first gen of Transformers, it was probably was just like the animators thing of proportion wise, but whenever say Megatron would transform into his gun form, and he would transform into Starscream's hand, then it was like he became small enough to fit into Starscream's hand, but when he transformed back to full size. So it to me, that was like one of those things that was inconsistent, but the movie kind of fixed it by making Galvatron transform into a cannon.
Right, yeah, because it's whenever Megatron would turn into a gun and then Starscream would just grab him and use him. I'm like, you're little, and then you're going to transform into a robot that's bigger than he is.
Right. It's like,
okay,
how is that? I don't understand that. I don't get it. And exactly, Mr. Marco, the math wasn't mathing on that one. The math wasn't mathing. But
No,
I will say I do appreciate that later on in later series that they fixed that problem in keeping all the Transformers kind of proportionate wise, size wise. And
right, and they had to do the same thing, like like in Terminator, when John Connor's having in Terminator 2, he's having the conversation with the T-101, and
mm-hmm.
he's like, why can't he just turn into a this or that or turn into this tiny? And and the Terminator's like, it has to be something of approximate size,
Yeah. So
which
it makes sense.
which is why they in later iterations have transformed or made Megatron transform into either a cannon or a tank, which I
Mm-hmm.
think a tank is super fitting for him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And uh, tank was fitting for him. Cannon was fitting for him. Even in um, I think what was it in either Energon or Armada is when he transformed into like a car instead of a tank. Um, and even then, the car that he transformed into is pretty badass. It's pretty badass. So, and it just kind of carried on into Transformers Cybertron, in which his vehicle form there was, pretty badass. And you are muted.
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I've been struggling with a bit of a cough, and I'm trying not to cough in people's ear, but I keep forgetting to unmute myself after I cough.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But all I
But
said was I really need to go back and binge a lot of it. I need to just go back to the original and just start watching. 'Cause there's so
so,
much that there's some that I've missed, some that I don't remember, and some that's been so long. I mean, it's just like,
oh yeah, and then not even touching about the anime of Transformers of the Beast War. Well, the anime is called Beast Wars 2, in which it brings in other characters like Leo Convoy, which is the Optimus Prime, but as a lion. Leo Convoy, Convoy Junior, which is, I guess, like the next one to step up to be a Prime. And then going into to the Pretender series, in which they transformed into humans, which they kind of got that from the which was the inspiration from the Michael Bay films, the Transformers 2, in which the one Decepticon was the college girl that Shia LaBeouf kind of hooked up with, or tried to, anyways.
at the end of last night, Quintessa comes back in human form.
Right, exactly. So, even not even talking about even those whole iterations of it, in which, again, that's all part of the whole lore of what Transformers could actually kind of expand into, as far as just being just vehicles or robot dinosaurs or robot insects, that they could be actual people as well.
Yeah, it's a very cool premise, to do. And certainly, if you're going to do live actions, it could be a lot cheaper,
Yeah,
which is one
exactly.
of the biggest reasons why BSG used human Cylons more than their CGI counterparts. But just to be clear, BSG did introduce organic humanoid Cylons in the original series. Most people don't realize that, but they did. Just one or two episodes. But I
Okay.
think it's safe to say though that Megatron Saint Swolmy.
Megatron thanks.
I think it's safe to say though that Transformers has shown us it is a franchise that hasn't gone anywhere since it
No.
was introduced in 1984, and it's not looking like it's going to go anywhere. I know Hasbro is pulled out of co-producing any future properties any of its IP properties. Like it will not help fund any GI Joe movies, thank goodness.
Mm-hmm.
It won't do any more Transformers movies or any of its other toy lines, which is fine. Just whoever out there, I know the directors and writers of Transformers One are hopeful that a sequel could be in place. I need it. I need
Oh
it,
yeah.
and it was conceived as a trilogy. So yes, please.
So we need it. Said we need it. We don't want a GoBots. We need a Transformers 2. That's what we need.
Yep. Transformers 2.
We need Transformers 2. Because Transformers 1 was amazing.
Yes.
And we need more of that.
Yes.
We need more. That I need to know what happens when Megatron fully, forms the Decepticons. I need to know how the Great War. I mean, this is sort of like kind of how it started, but
we want to see it.
I need to see it in action.
A lot of what we've seen throughout Transformers history has been retrospective, or we hear about what things happen off screen.
Right.
I'd like to see full-blown War for Cybertron
Yes.
in front of me.
Yes, I need to see it.
With the same character-driven plots, because you have great characters already and great voice talent. So,
right. I need to see all that.
Let's see it.
So I need to see, Megatron, getting his golden record and sending that out because, just in case that the war fails, which again could lead into Beast Wars because that's how Beast Wars started. And so yeah, I need to see Transformers 2. Just because we need to get to this point. We need to see more. We need to see, get to seeing the Beast Wars, seeing Optimus Primal, seeing Cheetor.
Beast Wars is one of the few shows I used to get up as an adult on Saturday mornings. Like, I don't have to work today, but I'm getting up because it came on at like 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I would get up and watch it. But we are coming to the end of the show. I mean, we absolutely gushed about Transformers for 90 minutes now.
Right.
But I'll let you close this out. But my final word here, I just got to say to Mr. Marco the Evil, as a duly appointed representative of multiple letters in the Alphabet Mafia, I disagree with you. However, if you want to know what my version of the My Little Pony remake would be, go onto Amazon Prime if you have access to that. Look up a show called Secret Level and watch the little 10-minute short called Pac-Man. And that's exactly what I want from a My Little Pony movie going forward. You'll know what I mean when you see it.
I would say, Mr. Marco, that would be a My Little Pony movie that you would want to see. You definitely will want to see that one. That'd be a great movie. Not gonna lie. So this has been a fun episode. We talked some about Star Trek, and again we had an evil AI episode. So,
and then we just went into all kinds of AI because technically, wasn't the Transformers all qualified?
They're all
AI?
qualified as AI, yes, and we see how that works out. So I definitely want to see more Transformers 2. I need to see Primus. I need to see Unicron go at it. I need to see.
Wish
I need
list.
to see that.
If you're paying attention,
So,
Primus, Unicron.
So putting this out there in the universe and Beyonce's and Taylor Swift's internet, we need to see Transformers 2. Transformers 1 is amazing. We need to see part 2. And on that, keep your triples spayed and neutered, and that's all I have.
Long and prosper.
Recording stopped.